Hey YouTube, and welcome to Beanie Games. My name's Ben, and about 2 weeks ago, Cracking the Cryptic released a Sudoku Puzzle Hunt that I created. Today, we're going to go through the solution to part 1 of that puzzle hunt. Firstly, I would like to thank Cracking the Cryptic for not only hosting the puzzle hunt on their YouTube channel and on their Patreon page, but also for helping me fine-tune the puzzle hunt, with a special thanks to Neil Talbot. Secondly, I'd also like to thank all of you who have tried the puzzle hunt and left some amazing feedback. I hope you all enjoyed solving the puzzle hunt as much as I did creating it. For those of you that haven't tried the puzzle hunt yet, I strongly encourage you to do so, and a link to the Patreon page where it's being hosted can be found in the description below. Now, onto the puzzle hunt. Here we can see we're given an 11-page document with a title page, some rules, and 9 Sudokus. And as we go through the Sudokus, we can see that they all seem to have different rules and appear to be different variants. In addition to that, we can also see a range of symbols that are in the grids, including these circles, asterisks, and hashtags, which hopefully will be explained to us later. Okay. Now, returning to the rules, we can see that rule number 1 is the contents of the circled cells are to be used to fill the equivalent cells in the next puzzle. However, the order of the puzzles is to be deduced. The second rule is that in each puzzle, one cell is marked with a hashtag, or in one case, 2 cells, which should be read together as a pair. The contents of these cells, read in the correct order, provide an additional hint to the theme. And the third rule is that the final solution is a single 9-letter English word. Now, what we can take from this is that firstly, there is a theme to these puzzles, and secondly, that the contents of these, so this first rule here, the contents of the circled cells are used to fill the equivalent cells in the next puzzle, and the order of puzzles is to be deduced. This implies that there's likely only one correct starting path to these puzzles, and only one of these puzzles will in fact be solvable, with the remainder requiring these circled clues to help provide an answer. And in fact, we can see hypocrisy here is what appears to be a normal Sudoku with no given digits. And as such, we can see that this is impossible to solve. Now, the first part of the puzzle hunt is clear. We've got to work out which puzzle we need to do first. And there are a couple of ways to go about this. For those of you familiar with puzzle hunts, you might see that this puzzle here, forged letters, might be a good place to start in terms of determining the theme. We are given 2 words, I and Dante, which by themselves don't mean much. However, a simple Google search might set you on the right direction. We will likely come back to this later in the solution path, and in fact, in this video we will be going through what I find to be the harder of the 2 options, which is more of a brute force approach. Okay, and so if we're going to try and brute force our way into finding the starting point in this puzzle hunt, I think the first thing we can do is see that forged letters and hypocrisy have no circles in their grids, and as such we can exclude them straight away, as if they were the first puzzle, we would then have no way of solving the second puzzle. The next thing that I would do if I was attempting to try and brute force this set of puzzles is I would probably find one of the Sudokus which has the most givens. So as you can see here, a raging temperature is a thermometer variant with only 3 given digits. This forged letters one, which we've already excluded, has 6 given digits. This hostile killer has 0. Hungry for sandwiches, once again, 0. Hypocrisy, 0. It's up in the air has 18 given digits. Lascivious queens has 8 given digits. Overgreedy has 17 given digits. And schismatic nonomenos has 16 given digits. And so, while it is possible to solve certain puzzles with less given digits, provided they have enough other restrictive rules, which many of you will have been able to see on Simon and Mark's channel, Cracking the Cryptic. In terms of starting, I think starting with, if you're going to try and brute force these puzzles, starting with either schismatic nomenos, over greedy, or it's up in the air would be a good place to start. Now, for those of you wanting to try one of those puzzles, feel free to pause the video now and have a go. For us, we will be continuing on with It's Up in the Air, as that is the puzzle that has the most given digits. And so we can click on the link to the right here, which will open it in the Cracking the Cryptic software, and we can start solving that. But firstly, let's just go over the rules. So once again, this is normal Sudoku rules apply. Each of the 4 shaded regions is either a palindromic sequence, end to end, or a clone of one of the other 3 regions, i.e. a pure rotation with translation without flipping. In general, what does that mean? Okay, so for a palindrome sequence, let's look at this yellow shape here. If this was a palindrome, the numbers, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, would then have to repeat 3, 2, and 1. And as we can see, this cannot happen because we can't have 2 3s in box 1 of the grid. Let's quickly get rid of those. Now, with regards to clones, so these are for translation with rotation and no flipping. So if we were to rotate this yellow shape over to this green shape, we can see that this cell would be equal to this cell. If we were to rotate again to the red shape, it would be equal to this cell. And rotating back to the blue shape, we would see this cell. So if all 4 of these shapes were clones of each other, we could see that these cells would all have to be equal. And once again, this is also impossible, as normal Sudoku rules would not allow the same digit in the same box or in the same row. Now, with these variant Sudokus, I find the quickest thing, or the way that I tend to solve these, is that I like to pencil mark all the rules of the variant in first, and then proceed with normal Sudoku rules. For those of you who prefer solving normal Sudoku rules first, you can probably score a couple of digits in this grid, but we're going to proceed with working on our clone and palindrome rules set. Okay, so we start here with the yellow shape, and from the example that we saw earlier, we can see that it can't be a palindrome, as the 3rd cell and the 5th cell along are in the same box. But if these were a palindrome, they would have to be the same value, which is not possible. We can see a similar logic can be used on the red shape down here. And as such, we can see that the red shape and the yellow shape cannot be palindromes, and as such, they must be clones. The next step is to work out whether either the green shape or the blue shape can be clones in addition to the yellow shape and the red shape. Now, I think the easiest way here, so I suppose if anyone can see it, it is quite clear straight away, but you could pause the video to take some time now. Okay, and so for those of you who haven't seen it, the easiest way to identify whether these shapes can be clones or not is to look at the 4th digit along. So if we add in these yellow and red shapes as well, which we know to be clones, we can see that these kind of form a rectangle here and share the same row and column. So if this blue shape was going to be a clone of the yellow shape, we would have a contradiction at this 4th cell, because these would have to be the same value and they fall in the same column. Similarly, if the blue shape was a clone of the red shape, once again this 4th cell along causes a contradiction. So as such, I suppose the other option is whether the blue shape can be a clone of the green shape. But if you remember from where we worked out where this first cell would be equivalent in all four shapes, that also excludes blue and green from being clones from each other, because the first cell along shares the same row. So the blue shape can't be a clone of either the yellow, green, or red shapes. And similarly, we can see that the green shape can also not be a clone of the red or yellow shapes, similarly by that fourth cell along, that shares a row and a column. So we're left with that the blue and green shapes must be palindrome shapes, and the yellow and red shapes must be clones. Okay, so going through, we can start putting in our pencil marks here. And so we begin. So this cell can be a 1. It can't be a 2 due to this column here, or a 3 or a 4 due to this row. Can't have a 5 due to this box. And because these are clones, we're sharing the same rules for both cells. This one can't be a 6 or a 7 due to this box, and can't be a 9 due to this row. So a 1 and an 8 are the two options for that cell. And we can do a similar thing continuing along the shape. So here we can't have a 1, but can have a 2, can't have a 3 or a 4. Once again, 5, 6 and 7 are ruled out, and 9 is also ruled out. So this time 1 and 2 still ruled out. This can be a 3. I believe it can be a 4 and can be a 5. Can't be a 6 or a 7 or a 9. Once again, can't be a 1 or a 2. Can be a 3 and a 4 and a 5. Can't be a 6 or 7 or 8. And I believe this one, in fact, can be a 9, if I'm not missing anything. Next one along. Can't be a 1 or a 2. Can be a 3, 4, 5. Can't be a 6. Can be a 7. Can't be an 8. And can't be a 9. 1 and 3. 1, 2 and 3 all ruled out. 4 and 5 rule it out from this column. So we start with a 6 here, 7 and an 8. Right, and our last one here. So we can't have a 1, a 2, 3, 4 or 5. Can't have a 6, can't have an 8, and can't have a 9. So in fact we get to place our first digit, which is a 7. And as such we can remove the 7s from those options. Alright. Similarly, we can go through a similar process for our palindrome shapes. So these cells can't be a 1, a 2, or a 3. Can be 4. Can't be a 5, 6, or 7. Can be an 8, and can't be a 9. And these cells must be equal in the palindrome shape, so we can once again, so I believe that's a 1. Can't be a 2, 3, 4. Can't be a 5. Can't be a 6 or a 7. Can be an 8 and can't be a 9. Alright, we'll see that we get a 1-8 pair in both the box and the row. We'll just finish this palindrome shape before we address that one. Okay, so last one in the palindrome. Can be a 1, can't be a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it can be a 9. Okay, so this 1-8 pair here excludes 1 and 8 from the remaining cells in the box, so we can put in 2, 4, and 9 here, and by palindrome this is a 9 and this is a 4, and this one must be a 2. This helps exclude some cells, some 4s from those ones, and a 9 from these ones, this cell doesn't have much of a restriction on it due to palindrome or clone rules. Okay, so we can do hopefully something similar with our green shape. So once again, no 1, 2, 3 or 4, no 5, 6 or 7 from this row, so left with an 8 and a 9. Okay, this, so once again, no 1 and 3 from this box, no 2 from this box. We can have a 4, no 5. I believe 6 is not allowed from down here. 7 rules it out from the box as well as the column. So it can be an 8, but can't be a 9 due to this 9 here. Alright, and let's try that one again. So can't be a 1 or 3, can't be a 2 due to this row here. So we get a 4 again. Can't have a 5, 6, 7, but can have an 8 and can't have a 9. So once again we get a 4, 8 pair. And this should help us resolve quite a lot now. So these both have to be 9s, and these both have to be 1s. This must be a 6. Now, so we've now completed our clone and palindrome rules, and now we can just solve like normal Sudoku. Okay, so the remainder in this column, so where does a 5 go in this column? Can't go in this center 3 cells here, so 5 must go there. In fact, what digits can we place here? Must be 6, 7 and 8. 6 and 7 in this room make that one an 8, and we get 6, 7 pair. This must be a 1, 2 pair. Alright, and last cell in this row must be a 3. In fact, actually this one resolved that 1, 8 pair in the palindrome. Those are both 8s. That rules out an 8 from those 2 cells. In fact, this 5 is also ruled out 5s from those 2 cells. So we get that these are both 3s, these are both 4s. So this can't be a 3 anymore, this is a 5 or a 7. Okay, and in this box down here, we're left with a 1 and a 3. 3 can't go here. It's a 1, that's a 3. That'll resolve our 1, 2 pair in the center box. Now, 1, 2, 3. So where does a 5 go? Let's go here. Where does a 2 go? Let's go there. Okay. So in this box, we're left with a 3 and a 5 pair. The 5 here rules that out. So alright, and in this row, we're now left with 6 and 7 to fill those 2 digits. The 7 here disambiguates that. So 6, 7, 6. We can now work out that this value must be a 7, which resolves our final clone digit. Okay, in fact this 4 has actually resolved this palindrome as well. So those must be 8s, and those must be 4s. Okay, and now we're pretty close to solving the Sudoku, so let's just go through and solve the remaining digits. So where does a 7 go in this box? Well, 7 here and a 7 here, places that there. We're left with 1, 8 and 9. 1 must go here. 8 forces that one up there. Alright, left with 4 and 5 in these 2 squares, resolved. Left with a 1 and a 3 in those 2 squares, which is also resolved. And we're left with a 6 and a 7 in these 2 squares, which is also resolved. Okay, and we have 1 digit left in this column, which is helpful. Alright, where does a 1 go in this box? This one rules out those 3 squares. This one rules out that square. So we've left a 1 up here. We've only got 1 left in this column, which must be a 7. So we have 6, 8, and 9. 6 and 9 in the center. That one an 8. This 6 also resolves the 9, 6 pair. Left with a 4 and an 8 up the top, which is resolved. 2 and a 3, which is also resolved. And our last digits are going to be a 5 and a 9, which can be resolved like that. And as we check, there we go, it looks good to me. And we've solved the first puzzle in the Sudoku Puzzle Hunt. Now, I'm just going to use snipping tool to create a copy of our grid, because we're going to require the digits in this solution to help us solve the next one along. And so we can put these into a PowerPoint presentation. Let's just put the solution grid there, and let's also make sure we put in our puzzle title. It's up in the air. Our hashtag, we go back to the puzzle hunt. We should be able to find that as this cell over here. And from the Sudoku we can see that that's a 1, so we can place that into our tally as well. The asterisk cells we will come back to, because we will need those a bit later. Alright, and there you have it. That's solving part 1 of the Sudoku Puzzle Hunt. Feel free to like, subscribe, and let me know what you thought. And we'll be back shortly with the second solution to the second puzzle.